The time is precisely 6:15 p.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. News edited by Dulmin Samarasinghe and read by Chandima Virakon. Headlines. The President emphasizes the need for educational reforms. The party leaders will pay their attention tomorrow about the time to speak in Parliament for them. Locally produced medical equipment with international standards will be introduced for local and foreign markets. The staff of Matra Polhena Hotel and their family members have been sent for quarantine. On foreign news, Australia is to euthanize standard pilot whales. And in sports, it's a rugby championship. New Zealand oppose schedule that means Christmas in quarantine. Local stories in detail. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has emphasized the need for educational reforms which can create a citizen who is useful to the future world and who can contribute for economy and development. He said that universities should not only become institutions to confer degrees. He pointed out that the graduates and the economy of the country should be benefited. The President instructed education authorities to introduce new syllabuses, giving priority for practical needs. The President mentioned this during a discussion today at the Presidential Secretariat on the State Ministry of Education Reforms, Open University and Distance Education Promotion. It is mandatory to provide equal educational opportunities for each child, irrespective of race, religion and other differences. The President said that an education system centered on the students should be implemented. Lengthy discussions took place on the needs of an education system where the job market would come in search of the graduates. The President instructed officials to take up for discussion the National Education Policy draft and to take steps to implement it. The report of the Finance Commission was tabled in Parliament today by parliamentarian S.B. Dissanayake. Expressing his views, parliamentarian S.B. Dissanayake said that the government was able to maintain stability of the economy amidst crises such as the coronavirus pandemic. He explained the program of the government to strengthen the local economy while encouraging exports and limiting imports. Taking part in the debate, MP Patali Champika Ranawaka said that many problems have arisen due to limiting imports. He said that there is a shortage of goods due to the limits on imports. In his reply speech, State Minister Ajit Niwad Kabral said that the economy of the country collapsed during the time of the previous Good Governance government. He said that the Good Governance government inconvenienced public by imposing taxes. The government aims to limit imports while encouraging exports. The State Minister said that the government was able to strongly maintain the economy by limiting depreciation of the rupee, although the economy did not show any progress for 3 months due to the coronavirus pandemic. The Parliament will meet again at 10 a.m. tomorrow. The party leaders will pay attention tomorrow about the time given for the party leaders to express their views in Parliament. Head of the Presidential Task Force for Economic Resurgence and Poverty Elimination, Basil Rajapaksa, says that the country is prepared to issue medical equipment produced locally to international standards to local and foreign markets. He said that it would provide the opportunity to meet the needs of medical equipment locally and to develop the economy through exports. Mr. Basil Rajapaksa mentioned this during a discussion yesterday at the Temple Trees with officials of Technomedics Flexicare Investment Private Company on the progress of the medical equipment production factory situated at Bandaragama under the Made in Sri Lanka project. General Manager of the company, Sanjeeva Jayasinghe, said that the United Kingdom has invested more than $15 million for the project. The factory has been fully prepared for production at present. He said that they will be able to get the permission to export the first container in about 1 month's time. He added that 95% of the products of the factory would be exported. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Continuing with the local stories, Director of the Epidemiology Unit, Dr. Sudat Samaravira, says that unnecessary fears should not be entertained about the Russian airline employee infected with the coronavirus and was under quarantine at a private hotel in Matra, Polhena. It has been confirmed that one of the members of the Russian airline staff who was under quarantine at the hotel has been infected with the virus. Dr. Sudat Samaravira expressed these views as a reply to a journalist during a media briefing today at the Health Promotion Bureau on the situation in Matra and publications over social media. He said that the staff of the hotel and their family members have been sent for quarantine at present. Dr. Sudat Samaravira said that the public should continue to follow correct health procedures. Director of Health Services of Matra, Dr. Upali Karunaratna, said they were able to bring the situation under control in Matra following an operation jointly conducted by health and security authorities. He said that 50 samples have been taken for PCR tests. He added that nearly 100 persons who had been in contact with the group have been sent for quarantine. Notices have been issued on former Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe and MP Vijayadasa Rajapaksa to appear before the Presidential Commission to inquire into political victimizations on the 8th of next month. The Commission should notice on the members of the Anti-Corruption Commission to appear before the Commission, making all of them respondents. Executive Director of the Litro Gas Company, Piyadasa Kuda Balage, appeared before the Commission today, according to a complaint lodged by him stating that he was politically victimized by filing a case at the 3-judge bench of the High Court on money laundering and misuse of funds on the recommendations of the Anti-Corruption Commission. Giving evidence before the Commission, Mr. Kuda Balage said that former Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe established Anti-Corruption Committee, but the Prime Minister's Secretary has implemented an Anti-Corruption Committee Secretariat. It was revealed before the Commission that several different names have been used for one office. The Presidential Commission to investigate into the Easter Sunday attacks strictly warned former President Maithripala Sirisena, his private secretary and the 3 auxiliary bishops of Colombo to refrain from issuing media statements since the Commission is active at present. Former State Defence Minister Ruwan Wijewardena was giving evidence before the Commission a short while ago. 12 petitions have been filed in the Supreme Court challenging the 20th Amendment to the Constitution, which has been tabled in Parliament. The petitions say that certain provisions of the draft violate fundamental rights and some other provisions guaranteed by the Constitution. The petitioners have requested a judgment stating that a 2/3 majority is not sufficient to approve some provisions and a referendum should also be conducted to pass them. Supreme Court Justice Priyantha Jayawardena announced today in the open court that he is setting aside considering the fundamental rights petition challenging the decision of the President to grant general amnesty to Army Corporal Sunil Ratnayaka, who was sentenced to death in connection with Jaffna, Minisuville killings. The case was taken today before the 3-judge Supreme Court bench of Justices Priyantha Jayawardena, Preeti Padman Surasena and Yasanta Kodagoda. Justice Priyantha Jayawardena said that he was a member of the judge bench of the Supreme Court which convicted the accused who was granted the presidential pardon. Therefore, he said that he would set aside from the judicial process to consider the petition. Thereafter, hearing of the petition was postponed until the 8th of February. The interim report on the financial frauds committed at the Sri Lanka Bureau of Foreign Employment between 2015 and 2019 was handed over to State Minister Priyankara Jayaratne yesterday. A 3-member committee was appointed to investigate into the financial malpractices at the Bureau during that period. Minister C.B. Ratnayaka says that environment is more important to him than portfolios and necessary actions in that regard have been taken. The minister said that there is a program to socialize false information about environmental destruction. He said that old photographs have been used for the purpose. He added that false information has been published related to private lands. The minister, while taking part in a media briefing today in Colombo, said that false information should not be socialized. To end this bulletin of local news, the headlines once again. The President emphasizes the need for educational reforms. The party leaders will pay their attention tomorrow about the time to speak in Parliament for them. Locally produced medical equipment with international standards will be introduced for local and foreign markets. The staff of Matra Polhena Hotel and their family members have been sent for quarantine. That ends the local news.
A mother knows the pain of each member of the family. Siddhalepa, the trusted relief for aches and pains.
An effective therapy for relief from cold, sneezing, flu, headaches, swelling due to toothaches, rheumatic, discomforts, and muscular aches and pains. Siddhalepa, the Vidya Mahatmya in every home.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vidya Mahatmya.
The Ministry of Health said 13 more individuals infected with COVID-19 have made complete recoveries today. COVID-19 recoveries confirmed in the country thereby reached 3,142. The total number of positive cases of novel coronavirus found in the country is 3,324. The epidemiology unit says 169 active cases are under medical care at selected hospitals. That ends the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vidya Mahatmya. Brush your teeth twice a day for healthy teeth and gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, your trusted brands in oral care for many years.
Supiriviki Ayurvedic toothpaste for adults. Kakulu Ayurvedic toothpaste for kids. 9 Ayurvedic ingredients of Supiriviki will protect your teeth and strengthen your gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, products from Siddhalepa.
Moving on to Watchlight. People's Bank has made history by becoming the first state bank to accept fingerprints for pensioners for verification purposes in lieu of conventional life certificate. The Department of Pensions recently introduced a facility that enables pensioners to use their fingerprint as verification instead of the time-consuming process of obtaining and submitting a life certificate to the department. That ends Watchlight.
World News, brought to you by courtesy of
People's Leasing, the trusted leader. From the first step you take till the time we meet, the trusted leader prioritizes you always. All you need under one roof. People's Leasing, the trusted leader.
Headlines of the world news. Australia is to euthanize stranded pilot whales. 2 officers shot during Louisville protests. UK to unveil a new job protection plans as COVID surges. Officials have said several surviving pilot whales beached in a mass stranding in Tasmania will be euthanized as they cannot be saved. Some 380 whales have already died in Australia's worst stranding on record. Rescuers have refloated 70 of the animals and say there is a hope for another 20. But they have said 4 surviving whales that are too exhausted to be saved will be killed, as it is the most human thing to do. 2 policemen have been shot amid protest in the US over a decision not to charge any officers over the killing of Breonna Taylor. Miss Taylor, 26, a black hospital worker, was shot multiple times as 3 officers raided her home on 13th March. A grand jury in the city of Louisville indicted one of the officers with wanton endangerment for shots which hit a neighbor's apartment. The Attorney General said the 2 other officers' actions had been justified. Britain's finance minister will announce more job protection plans today, likely to include a new wage subsidy scheme to stem unemployment in the pandemic-ravaged economy after existing safeguards expire next month. Rishi Sunak had ruled out a wholesale extension of the coronavirus job retention scheme, which supported 8.9 million private sector jobs at its peak in May, but a growing second wave of COVID-19 cases has brought clamour for a replacement. To end the world news, the headlines again. Australia is to euthanize stranded pilot whales. 2 officers shot during Louisville protests. UK to unveil new job protection plans as COVID surges. That ends World News.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of
People's Leasing, the trusted leader. From the first step you take till the time we meet, the trusted leader prioritizes you always. All you need under one roof. People's Leasing, the trusted leader.
And on development news, State Minister Shehan Semasinha says more attention will be paid to reduce paper consumption by introducing electronic ones. The State Minister was responding to a question raised by MP Mohammed Muzammil yesterday in Parliament, asserting that approximately 369 billion rupees had been spent on paper imports during the past 5 years. He said measures will be implemented to protect the environment and reduce the cost of paper imports. That ends the development news. Moving on to sports news. New Zealand Rugby has criticised December's Rugby Championship schedule because it means players will be forced to spend Christmas in quarantine. The All Blacks play Australia in Sydney on 12th December and would need to self-isolate for 14 days on their return home under coronavirus protocols. Argentina and South Africa will also compete in the 6-week tournament. New Zealand Rugby has now called on the tournament's governing body and Rugby Australia to reschedule the fixtures, stressing it is committed to taking part in the competition. Lewis Hamilton has vowed to increase the number of black people in motor racing, naming a group to analyse the causes of a lack of diversity. The British Formula One world champion said members of his Hamilton Commission together will make a change. Hamilton will lead the group alongside Dr. Hayatun Salem, the Chief Executive of the Royal Academy of Engineering. That ends the sports news.
The wait is over and it's time for you to experience happiness. It's time to remap the graph for success. It's time to rebuild your empire. It's time to initiate your entrepreneur dreams. Empower your dreams with NSB Wings. Get your 2-year personal loan for just 7% per annum, starting from 500,000 rupees to 10 million rupees. All you need is just one guarantee. NSB Wings. Recharge the high goal.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Unilever Sri Lanka has announced its entry to the health food drinks market with the inclusion of 2 brands, Horlicks and Viva, into its food and refreshments portfolio. This announcement forms part of the successful regional merger between Hindustan Unilever Limited and GlaxoSmithKline Consumer Healthcare Limited. With this, Unilever Sri Lanka takes over ownership for marketing and distributing Horlicks and Viva in Sri Lanka. That ends the business news.
The wait is over and it's time for you to experience happiness. It's time to remap the graph for success. It's time to rebuild your empire. It's time to initiate your entrepreneur dreams. Empower your dreams with NSB Wings. Get your 2-year personal loan for just 7% per annum, starting from 500,000 rupees to 10 million rupees. All you need is just one guarantee. NSB Wings. Recharge the high goal.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Economic news, courtesy of...
Hello, Puta, did you land already?
We're in transit and our flight got delayed.
How is Shani? Poor thing with her pregnancy.
Calm down, everything is sorted. Why, I have my LOLC World Card with me. We are at the VIP lounge.
LOLC Finance Credit Cards. Fuel the goodness in you.
On economic news, Finance Ministry said 9.6 billion rupees of bills certifying payment arrears had been issued to contractors who can use them as collateral to get money from banks. The ministry said 303 suppliers had been issued with the certification letters for services performed in 2019 and 31st May 2020. All letters have been issued by 31st August. The letters had been issued to the licensed commercial bank named by the contractor, who has to open a separate account. The bills will be settled in installments by the Treasury by crediting the account. That ends Economic News.
Congratulations on your promotion. It will be our treat, huh?
How about today?
Oh no, I was just joking.
It's fine. I have my LOLC credit card with me. Let's go out today.
Introducing LOLC Finance Credit Cards. Fuel the goodness in you.
Weather report was sponsored by
CIB Janajaya Vasana 15th phase offer from 14th September to 11th October. Win gifts worth in 100,000s for every over 3,000 rupees bill. Visit CIB today.
And finally, on the weather report, the Met Department says several spells of light showers will occur tomorrow in western, Sabaragamuwa and central provinces and in Gaul and Matra districts. Showers or thunder showers will occur at a few places in northern province and in Trincomalee district.
Weather report was sponsored by
CIB Janajaya Vasana 15th phase offer from 14th September to 11th October. Win gifts worth in 100,000s for every over 3,000 rupees bill. Visit CIB today.
To end this bulletin of news, the headlines once again. The President emphasizes the need for educational reforms. The party leaders will pay their attention tomorrow about the time to speak in Parliament for them. Locally produced medical equipment with international standards will be introduced for local and foreign markets. The staff of Matrapol Hena Hotel and their family members have been sent for quarantine. In foreign news, Australia is to euthanize stranded pilot whales. In sports news, it's rugby. New Zealand oppose schedule that means Christmas in quarantine. With that, we conclude this bulletin of news from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
On 97.4 and 97.6 FM.
This is Radio
Sri Lanka.